country. Now viewers, we are also joined by Dr. Sagar Mundada, who is a celebrity psychologist. I appreciate you joining on the broadcast, sir. Well, when we talk about such a campaign that in fact is an extension of what needs to be broadly looked into making these policies and laws, do you think India needs to launch this its largest ever psychological study to scientifically understand the minds of the rapist?
See, because the problem is what's happening today is we are seeing the Kolkata incident, which has become a nationwide scare now. And on top of that, you're also seeing incidents which are happening in Badlapur. So, right from a 3-year-old girl to a medical doctor on duty, both the scenarios are basically scenarios which are totally non-provocative scenarios in the normal, common, conventional sense. But still, the rapes are happening. These are just which are highlighted by the media. What we see even in our clinic is that many people who are rape victims, they come to us many years after these incidents have happened, and they are very, very traumatized. So to understand the mind of these perpetrators, you have to do a very, very detailed psychological analysis, because there is no provocation of any sort. There is no suggestibility or no leading on of any sort in these cases that we are discussing today in the larger picture. So definitely, how these sociopaths, how these psychopaths, how these sexual perverts are created, how do we identify them? Are there specific things that we can do to identify them fast? These things needs to happen on a national level. There have been many studies internationally, and there are certain telltale signs or certain indicators to understand, oh, this kind of a person might turn out to be a predator later on, or might turn out to be an abuser. But in a say, yes, there have been very few studies of that sort, and I feel, given the extent of the problem, given how common it has become and how persistently it is happening, we need to do such a study.
All right. Also, additionally, do you think that such a scientific study will help us building more accurate policies and laws to prevent these incidents that we see every day in newspapers, and where we are reporting such incidents of sexual violence against women and assaults in the long run as well?
100%, 100%. See, once you know the mind of a rapist, there are multiple types of rapists also. There are certain people who will rape when they are under the influence of something. Then there are certain people there are certain people who are born rapists. They are just antisocial elements for which you can't do anything, and the strict punishment under the law is the only solution for such people. Then there are many rapists who are created by the scenario around them, by the experiences that they have in their life. Like, for example, many accused that we have interviewed, that we have dealt with, they themselves have undergone sexual abuse or undergone some form of untoward behavior in their childhood. They were the victims of such crimes. They were the victims of sexual assaults. And some people internalized it, some people normalized it, and they wanted to be in that powerful position. And when they become adults, they prey on youngsters, or they prey on people who they perceive as potential victims, or potentially do not have that much power to fight them back. So depending on the person, the rape is also different. So once we have the entire study, we have the categories of the people who are turning out to be rapists, we will have laws, we'll have policies to prevent each kind of rape. And that is very necessary. In our country, that is not there. Also, we will become more adept at identifying of a potential rapist. Like, generally, when we talk of who could be a potential rapist, you have people who have had problem with law enforcement before. You have people who are very impulsive and have a lot of anger outbursts. You have people who do not care a lot about other people's boundaries, whether it is physical boundaries, as in, let's say there is a group of 10 people, and one guy who's a potential rapist will touch the girls on their hair, on their shoulder, casually. Now, when that girl says no, that guy doesn't understand that that's a boundary. But that is a warning sign that this person perhaps is going to become a potential offender later on. There are also other emotional boundaries wherein these people absolutely do not not have any empathy for the other person. They're not able to think that the other person is not a mere object but a human being with her own emotions, her own thoughts, her own life. They do not have that empathy. So if you're able to look at these warning signs, you also have these potential rapists who will try their level best to manipulate the girls that they misbehave with. They will gaslight the girls that they misbehave with. They will make the girls feel that it is their mistake that certain things are happening to them, that they were almost asking for it. So many rapists are unfortunately master manipulators. So once we know more about what are the telltale signs of these guys, the authorities, the police, the public in general, parents, girls, young females, small kids can be sensitized that if you see these signs in somebody, no matter how charming that person is, if he's crossing certain physical boundaries, if he's crossing certain emotional boundaries, let's say you have to reach back home by 10 p.m., that is a deadline set for you by your family. And if they're like, oh, why do you have to go back home so early? Are you a child? They use such manipulative tactics to question your boundaries. If you have been trained before that this could be a potential rapist, this could be a potential sign that that person is not as plain-hearted as he seems, then you'll take action immediately. Otherwise, they'll use psychological tricks and they will use manipulation tactics to suck you in. So, of course, sensitization is very important, but for that, we need to know what exactly are we looking for.
In your assessment, Sagar, what do you think can be the key challenges, in taking on such an assignment, and what help is essentially needed to implement this on a very basic level, to implement in the strategies from especially the government?
See, first of all, it has to be a priority for the government, because whenever you have cases of rapes, or you have cases of molestation, you have cases of child sex abuse, by law, all of that has to be reported to the government. I myself have worked in a very, very big hospital, a government hospital in Mumbai, by JJ Hospital in my college days, and we used to get a lot of these medical legal cases. So by law, such cases, the accused and the victim, all of them are supposed to be taken to a government setup. So if the government doesn't make it a priority, then conducting such a large-scale psychological analysis, the sample size will not be available. It's almost impossible for a set of motivated private individuals or institutions to do it unless and until the government has it on its priority list, because all of these people have to report to the government. Now, once they have to report to the government, if there is sensitization within the government that through the medical colleges, through the big hospitals, through the network that the government already has, we have to make it a point that we try and understand their mindset in an inquisitive way, so that we are going to be able to form a policy few years from now. Then it will happen. Apart from that, what also needs to happen is that these people need to be looked at in a way that we need to learn more about this. One is we feel disgust when we look at them. But if we just feel disgust and that is the end of it, then we will not be able to think out of the box about what policies we can bring about and how we can do a scientific analysis of what are the mindsets of these people. So you require a lot of disgust, and there has to be a public outcry, and everybody, justifiably so, as is happening right now in the country, has to be disturbed by it. But at the same time, when we are doing the study, the specific part that you're talking of, it has to be done in a scientific, logical, outcome-based manner. It can't be just done based on emotions. Then we will not get long-term results.
All right. We appreciate you speaking to us and giving your time on this very important issue that NewsX has raised.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.